Now you'll have to forgive any wind noise. You know, this is like one of those Weather Channel things where they're standing in the midst of a hurricane. They're like, I'm in the midst of a hurricane right now, and as you can see, the hail and sleet and tornadoes are pouring in. Yeah, well, I'm on top of the Cau Dai Bridge, and I thought this would be a good spot for a vlog. I'll be zooming in and out, but I wanted to give you a wide, not a wide, but just a normal pan of, I'm not quite at the top. But this is an inlet. This is an inlet that comes in from the East China Sea, goes under the bridge, comes out into this area, goes down here and turns into the Thuban River. And what you're seeing here, I don't have a cell phone stick, selfie stick, so bear with me and bear with the wind noise. Let me see if I can get something. Here is the province rural community of all of Hoi An. From up here you get a really nice view of the area that Hoi An encompasses. Now I'm going to go on the other side of the bridge there and do a second video. So for now, we're going to stick to this side. And here in the background, way yonder, you can see the skyscrapers. That's Da Nang. You can see the fishing dip nets, some fishing boats. Beautiful. Little landmass split. Little canal right there. Mountains in the background, mountains everywhere. Surrounding that taller mountain right there in the background. On the top of that mountain is the tourist attraction Cau Dai Hills. On top of that mountain is where they have the Golden Hands Bridge. If you're not familiar with it, it's this giant expansion bridge up there that you can walk along. It's beautiful, it's very high. I haven't been to it yet, but it has two giant golden hands holding the bridge up, figuratively and literally. And one day the wife and I will head up to Cau Dai Hills, but like we missed a grand window of opportunity, because now Cau Dai Hills is a is a nightmare of tourists. To walk on the Golden Bridge today, you'd be walking shoulder to shoulder, and there would be billions of tourists and Vietnamese taking selfies, and trust me, it's a hot mess. Now, I wanted to mention, just for the facts, the historical facts, is that recently, a couple of months ago, there were a rash of suicides off of this bridge. There were some people, I think it was 2 or 3, a couple of young folks, and I think one older individual that went up to the center of the very top of the bridge and jumped off, and they got swept out to sea. They found the bodies. They found each of the bodies. Now, when these people jumped off and suicided, there was a massive search for the bodies, which lasted several days. There were people up on the bridge, hundreds of people up on the bridge here, burning incense and praying and, just doing a vigil until the bodies were found. It's critical in a situation like that the body is found and buried properly and prayers are properly said for the poor person's soul. Yeah, the beauty of living in Hoi An is that, as you can see, there are no skyscrapers. There are no giant, tall buildings that are allowed to be built, like in Da Nang and any of the larger cities in Vietnam. So yeah, some people unfortunately jumped off the bridge, committed suicide. A couple young people, I talked to my wife about the circumstances, potential circumstances surrounding it. One young lady was apparently ill, some kind of illness. It was never disclosed what, so I imagine they were depressed about that. Another person, I think they jumped off. There was no real reason given, except that I believe it was like some argument with the parents. Now, I want to be brief about this. A lot of these kids, I told you, they're these eggs. These little princes and princesses are overvalued here within the Vietnamese culture. The family socialist Vietnamese culture. Now, in some respects, that's a good thing, to value your children and to value a family unit that comprises a heterosexual father and mother and children. It's awesome. It's a great thing. It's one of the, at least in the West, that no longer barely exists, but out here it's still a strong part of the society. But they are spoiled, and when they get older, sometimes they'll ask the parents for money for a cell phone, or money for this, or money to take a trip, or one thing or another. And if the parents are like, you know what, we just don't got it this month, or we can't afford to buy you an iPhone 13, we'll get you an iPhone, a used iPhone 10 or something, right? And they'll have a fucking fit over it and potentially come out to a bridge like this and jump off and kill themselves. That's a strange aspect of, one of the strange aspects of the culture out here. this development out here, excuse me, is it's been being built for years, and it's just a hot mess. You can see how the condominiums are stuffed together cookie cutter. The idea in Vietnam that you should have space and privacy is non-existent. So for 3 billion dong, and you can do the math on that, what is it, like 135, 145,000? You can buy one of those and live within a community stuffed together like sardines. Of course, they're building this promenade. I think there's going to be some kind of a park here. Eventually there will be restaurants. It will be kind of cute. Kind of a community unto itself. Maybe it'll be a little cleaner than most areas. But there's no fucking way I'm going to spend $150,000 to live, in a condominium where if I go out on my front balcony, you have a nice view. Come out on my front balcony and reach across and shake the hand of my neighbor. The other thing about Vietnam is when it comes to construction, there's no such thing as soundproofing. So God knows you could probably hear every word of every neighbor up, down, and on each side of you. That's just not going to work. Got some more dip nets out here. Lots. And we got a bunch of fishing boats parked here. It's a hell of a view. Again, the rural community of Hoi An. That's all there is to it. Please excuse me. The humidity and yeah, it's a long story. I was at the casino last night, sitting in. They keep it very cool inside. Sitting in air conditioning all night, gambling, and then out this morning in the weather, different temperature extremes, and it messes around with my throat. Sorry about not holding the camera steady. But I don't know the population figure, but obviously it's nowhere near the 20 million in Saigon, the 12 million in Hanoi, or the quickly approaching 1.5 million of Da Nang. And that's one of the nice things about Hoi An and living here is that it is significantly quieter than your bigger cities. This on the edge here is part of the quote-unquote coconut forest, the coconut palm forest. So what they will do, and I'll show you a little bit more of it on the other side, the larger swath of it, is they'll take you for basket boat rides through the coconut forest, as they call it. And it's like a kitschy tourist thing. I've seen enough coconut forests. Like there's a coconut forest right across the little field area by my house. I don't need to get in a basket boat with a bunch of tourists and go through it. I could just visually see it from the house. At least I can see coconut palms from my house very easily. Yeah, I just, you can't beat these views. You can't beat a view like this. It's just, it has a peaceful, calming effect. Yeah, I have to be careful here. That's a big drop. It's not like, I don't know, maybe 10 stories, maybe. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do part 2. I'm going to get on the bike. I'm going to take it across the road and give you a little better view of the other side here. This e-bike weighs 50 pounds, so I've got to make sure the traffic is clear, and then I've got to lift the bike over the embankment. And get to the other side, because there's no cut through. All right, let's do it.